Hey guys, I'm Taylor Johnson, alias Drone, and you're watching Behind the Alias. It's kind of counterintuitive because people when they're bad at something they tend to avoid doing it. But the best way to improve is to really do it a lot.
I don't know why that answer kind of made me happy because it's actually a thought out, a thought out response.
Yeah, I mean it's not like this deep answer. It's not like this like, oh, I felt like he synergized with my aura or something. I was like, no, I just wanted to flash for myself. Like
on a less serious notes, you got to pick 3 characters: marry, bang, and kill. Who is it?
Oh god. Oh god, this is a hard one.
That's what she said.
Hey, what's up everyone? This is Jim Buteau. You're watching Behind the Alias. Today I'm excited to have Taylor Johnson, alias Drone from the team TSM, a Valorant pro, joining me to talk about what he does and some more. How's it going? Thanks for being on the show. I'm excited.
It's going pretty good, man. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into, because I think you're more known for the Valorant stuff, but before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your career path and how it started and how you ended up playing Valorant?
Yeah, I played Counter-strafing professionally for about 2 years was my professional career. Previous to that, though, I played casually. Like with you, was actually like my first time I ever played any kind of competitive anything. I don't know if we actually played in a league, but we scrimmed a lot. And then just kind of progressed through the ranks. I got better just as a byproduct of playing with friends at first. So it wasn't necessarily my goal to be good, but just because I had so much fun and I played so much, I naturally got better at the game. And that led into being scouted by higher tier teams and eventually got into professional. Played that for 2 years. Didn't have too much success in Counter-Strike. I stayed around the tier 3 area. Never got a sticker, which is usually sad. I got very close, but I never got a sticker. It's so close, man. That close. And then, yeah, the game, I kind of lost my interest. I didn't play as much for fun Counter-Strike. I kind of stagnated. I kind of didn't really push myself as much. I think the game just kind of got old for me. And then Valorant came out and I got access to the beta, and then ever since then it's kind of been just full steam ahead for Valorant.
That's kind of the trend we saw, right? We saw a lot of ex Counter-Strike pros that I guess didn't have the flame anymore just get reinvigorated by Valorant. So that's actually pretty cool. At one point, did you realize that, hey, I can make it to pro. I can become a pro? In
Counter-Strike, I think it was when I got an MDL team. So in Counter-Strike, for whoever doesn't know, how it works is there's league tiers. It's not like Valorant where there's just tournaments, circuits. There was ESEA, which is like a platform which all the competitive players play on. And then there's the highest division, which is Pro League. Below that was Premier or MDL. Below that was Main, and then Intermediate, and then Open. Open was an open entry, anybody could play, and then you had to move your way up to the ranks. When I started getting scouted by Premier MDL teams, the one right before the professional league, I thought maybe I could make this happen. I felt like maybe if someone on that good of a team is looking at me, then I might be good enough to do it. So then I actually put time and effort into learning to improve myself as a teammate and not just playing the game casually for fun.
What's the biggest sacrifice you had to make during that period, I guess, when you were grinding? And you're still grinding, so I guess the sacrifice might still be going on.
Time. I think it takes a lot more time than people realize. It was at one point, this was when I got actually on a professional roster, but I wasn't actually a starter at this point. I had a schedule laid out for me, for any day I actually practiced or worked, it would take 9 hours of my day of just I'd watch demo review, I'd do aim training, I'd play FPO, which was the professional 10-man circuit for Counter-Strike. I'd just do all of that stuff every day for 8 or 9 hours a day. I'd have a coach who I talked to. I did analyst work for a team for a while that helped me get better. So it was just a really tedious, long thing. I had to sacrifice a lot of close friendships because I didn't have as much time with you guys too. When I started playing for teams, I had no time to casually play for fun or 10-mans or scrims or whatever. I had to really lock down on what I was doing and how I was spending my time on the game.
Yeah, it makes sense. You don't really have time anymore to play for fun, right? Anytime you're turning the computer on or opening, well, not Steam because you don't play on Steam, but you're turning on a game, it's always to practice or grind. So yeah, it must be must be harder than people imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of what leads to burnout too is you start playing a game professionally a lot of the time because it's something you enjoy and it's something you're passionate about. And then when that turns into more of a 9 to 5 kind of job deal where you're oh, well, I have to work, this is important, I can't just goof around. People start to feel that's more of a burden than it is still having fun. And that kind of leads to burnout for a lot of people. So it's hard to maintain that work and then like actually enjoying yourself.
Yeah, you don't get that feeling of, hey, you work that 9 to 5 job, and at 3 you're like, oh my god, I can't wait for 6 o'clock
Exactly,
to log
yeah.
in and start killing people.
Yeah.
If we could, I'd probably answer this all the time, but I don't want to go too far into this. But if you had one pro tip to give to someone that's trying to grind the ladder and trying to make it up there, what would it be?
Allocating your time while you're playing to specifically getting better will help you a lot more in the long run. So a lot of people will play like I was saying, to just play, which is good for organically, like getting better mechanically, like with your aim and your keyboard, and just like getting better at using your peripherals as an extension of yourself. Will get better just organically over time playing. But if you spend time like just not focusing on anything and not really honing in any skills, you're gonna it's gonna take you exponentially longer to get better than someone who is doing that. So make sure you set out the time that you're using while you're playing to improve things that you need to improve on, rather than just like whatevering it.
So if we're speaking, for example, about aim, you'd say spend more time in aim labs. If you're just maybe correct character specific, spend more time in the custom servers, I guess, practicing smokes and bouncing Sova arrows and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and if you notice a hole in your game, you're like, oh wow, I'm really bad at holding this bomb site, or I'm really bad at playing this agent. You can make sure every time you play, it's kind of counterintuitive, because people when they're bad at something, they tend to avoid doing it. But the best way to improve is to really do it a lot. So like if you're like, oh man, I suck at Sova, and then you just play Sova all the time. Or you're like, oh man, I'm really bad at B site on Haven, just play B site on that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is counterintuitive because you tend to go with whatever you're good at and just focus on that. Yeah, that makes sense. I had the Bears on my show a few episodes ago, and he was talking about reaction times that don't go down as you get old. I mean, you're far from that, but would you consider playing professionally past 30 or 40 years old if you could?
If I could, yeah, but it would be hard for me to. I mean, at this point, there's nobody with esports. Nobody's really crossed that threshold of like clearly not able to compete. Like in Counter-Strike, you had the Virtus Pro guys who got really old, and again, their team didn't keep playing at the high level, but they weren't bad by any means. Like they were still a professional team that hung with other professional teams. Two of my teammates are in their 30s, so that really gives me inspiration that I can play for a long time, and that there's no limit on your career. So yeah, if I can keep doing it, I'd love to. And the reaction time thing, I mean, my teammates are pretty insane, and they're both, like I said, like in their 30s. So I don't know how much truth there is to that. I watched the Bears episode. He's very sure there is none, and I respect that. I have no idea. I have no idea what the evidence is to suggest otherwise. So,
what would you do if you had to retire, or if you were going to retire? So, first of all, it's kind of hard to predict this far ahead, because who knows where Valorant is going to be 10 years from now? Who knows what game you'll be playing 10 years from now? So, just from that perspective, I guess it's hard to analyze what's going on. What's going to happen? But what would you do if you were to retire and not play professionally anymore?
I'd want to stay in the esports space for sure. I feel like it would kind of be a waste if I spent all of these years of my life, within the industry and doing what I'm doing, if I didn't put it to good use after I'm done playing.
Yeah.
So if that would be going into coaching, or if that would be going into like an org position where I'd be like either managing players, or I just want to stay in the scene and be able to contribute still, even though I'm not playing professionally. Like I just want to grow the industry. So yeah, I think coaching would be my first choice, because I still get to like be part of a team and be part of that environment and contribute to winning, while also like not needing to perform at my best. So if I'm getting older, if I'm retired or something, that doesn't so much matter.
If you could fix one thing about Valorant right now, what would it be?
Ooh.
You can.
Their anti-cheat's like not great. Yeah, their anti-cheat's not great, but I don't think that's the primary. Man, it's so hard. If you would have asked me this when I played professional Counter-Strike, I'd give you like a laundry list of things that need to be fixed because they never update that game. But like this game, they're pretty good with patching things. Or like a month or two ago, I would have said the jumping classics broken. I think the audio bug. There's like some audio problems still with the game where like I don't know what causes it, but you'll hear something very clearly in one spot, and it's like coming from a completely different spot. And it's something that's not just from me. Like it's something that everybody has been like talking about since the beta. I don't know what it's about or why it's there, but it's definitely a problem where like it can be detrimental to your team too, because like if I'm playing in a spot and I hear a footstep, and I've played FPS games for like over a decade, and I'm like, okay, this guy's here. Like I've heard that footstep, and then it's like he's like on the other side, and then I'm like, oh my god, he just killed my team. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a big issue that I think
it's game breaking, especially at a higher level. If we talk a little bit about counter-strafing, so for people that don't know, in Counter-Strike, there's this mechanic that you need to stop your movement straight to be able to aim straight faster, and Valorant has softened that quite heavily. I think it was a few months ago, and now they're in talks to putting it back. What do you think about that?
I think all counter-strafing is like it raises the skill ceiling for the game. And the floor as well. Yeah, what they did, I think, when they made the game was that counter-strafing, from what I understand, was still like you could still do it. It wouldn't not work. It would make you more accurate. It would make you accurate like 0.10% faster than not counter-strafing. So it would make you accurate technically faster, but it was so like small that it was like a negligible amount. So I think if they implemented it to be more of an important factor into like actually shooting, it would make the whole scene. I think it would just be an improvement. Like I don't think there would be a downside to that. The only thing that might be a problem is newer players learning to counter strafe.
Yeah,
might be harder. But that honestly, learning to counter strafe like isn't something that takes years of practice. Like it takes like maybe a couple months and you're fine.
yeah, I agree. And I think I think they need at this point to raise the ceiling, like you said, because you see, as far as I'm concerned, I capped at Immortal 2, and it's like you see people that are radiant and you're like, why are they radiant? And
Yeah.
I feel like if you raise the ceiling, it will allow people that are really, really, really good, or better than the average at least, to get to that extent, and people that are just random, I guess, because I guess without counter-strafing, it amplifies luck. You know, I remember just playing with a Deagle on Counter-Strike and running around and just one-digging people, and it's just at this point you're just random. You're called a random.
Yeah.
And I guess right now the people that have this feeling of just being random all the time, because it's kind of momentum. You're random. You're excited. You swing like a mongoloid, and then you just one tap people. It just like you just feed on that. I feel like it would filter a little bit of those players that make it to the higher level that maybe don't necessarily deserve to be there.
Yeah, it'll create a separation for sure. Like the people that are really good at FPS games and have a lot of experience with the counter-strafing thing will like rise a little bit above the people who aren't. Like I'm sure, which is crazy to me to think of, but I'm sure right now that there are players that were really bad at Counter-Strike. I mean, I don't want to say bad as an insult, but like not good at Counter-Strike. You know, they were lower ranks, they weren't very good. That are now radiant because they played Valorant. Because it's been long enough for someone to improve to that level, where they could have gone from like, let's say they were like Act 1 of Valorant, they were like, I don't know. I don't even know the ranks below Mortal, really. Diamond. Like Diamond 1 or below, that are now Radiant in the top 500. And I think it'll slow that process down a little bit, which might be discouraging for some people, but it should be just another skill for you to master and to really like add into your set of abilities.
Yeah. Now, why did you pick Phoenix? So I mean, I read somewhere that you also play a lot of Sova, but I've never seen you play Sova.
Right. Yeah, I think ironically, I'm known for Phoenix. Like that's my thing. Like I'm the Phoenix guy, right? And I think it's mostly because nobody really played him, or at least did play him before I started maining him. But yeah, I think I won both the Ignition Series events on Sova, which is pretty funny, even though Phoenix is the guy. Anyway, I like Phoenix because I like remember when I opened this game and I was using the agents and I was like, okay, well, first off, Phoenix is I think the first one that threw me on. It was just like in the practice range, he's like, here's Phoenix. I was like, okay. And he was the one in the trailer I remember watching for like he threw the wall or whatever. And I remember all these situations in Counter-Strike where I'm like out of corner. I was like, man, if I could just get a pop flash right now, if I could call for someone to pop flash for me, or if I'm playing a pug and some dude like pop flash hits the wall and it blinds me and doesn't blind the enemy, I'm like, God, dude. And so Phoenix is like this dude who can just pop flash for himself around corners. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so fun for me. And that's where I just like, I took that and like started with him. And then, you know, it actually took me a while to learn how to use his other abilities, like his wall. I mean, his molly is kind of intuitive for Counter-Strike players because you have a molly in the game. But his wall was like, I didn't know what to do with it. A lot of the time, I just wouldn't use it. Now I think I've gotten a lot better at that.
Yeah, I don't know why that answer kind of made me happy, because it's actually a thought out, out response as to why Phoenix. The pop flash makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this deep answer. It's not like this, like, oh, I felt like he synergized with my aura or something. It's like, no, I just wanted to flash for myself. Like,
no, but it's very logical and makes a lot of sense, especially coming from a CS player. I like that.
Yeah, it was just like, dude, I want someone to pop flash for me, so I'll do it myself.
On a less serious notes, you got to pick 3 characters: marry, bang, and kill. Who is it?
Oh God. Oh God, this is a hard one.
That's what she said.
Michael, please.
I have to look up all the agent lists. Hang on. I'm a professional. I should know them off the top of my head, but I don't know them very easily. Valorant agent list. Mary Bank Kill. Okay. Okay, Mary. Sage seems like she'd be a good wife. She just seems like a good, you know what I'm saying? Like, Sage just seems like she'd be a very wholesome, like you'd have like 2 dogs. So Mary, bang and kill. I'd kill Raze because I hate that character. I don't know what the thing. I don't know. Viper, I guess.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I guess Viper. That one's hard.
Yeah, I think
I was gonna say Omen to be funny, but he kind of scares me.
You don't want to mess with it. Well, maybe not after the nerf.
Right. Yeah. No. After the nerf. But kill Raze is like how to kill Raze.
On a funny note, with the whole marry and bang thing, do you swipe on Tinder or like any other platform?
No, I have a girlfriend actually now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I was gonna say, do you brag about being an esports pro on those?
No, I don't. No. That's not how that works. No. She knows I'm an esports pro.
Can you imagine like putting that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Not gonna put that in there then. I'm sad. No, I'm not. All right, this was the Alias segment with the drone. Make sure to join us tomorrow at 7 on the Alias as we go a little bit deeper into organizations, contracts, negotiations, and how to become a pro.